got the ball. He got the fucking ball, you fucking idiot! Fuck you fucking referee! You're a fucking idiot! You're a fucking fraud! You fucking idiot referee! Fucking ball! Idiot! He won the fucking ball, you fucking idiot! You fucking referee! You're a fucking idiot! You're a fucking fraud! Fraud! You fucking idiot referee! Fucking ball! He fucking won only the fucking ball! That's a great challenge! That's a great challenge! Fuck you!
Welcome back to Straight Facts on Wednesday. I haven't seen Mo, and Mo covers me on Sunday, but I haven't seen Mo on the terrace since Inter Milan were knocked out, and I loved your rant, bruv. Your rant was iconic.
Passionate. I love the passion. That's
how I watch football. You know, people say that they watched me doing a Luton versus Man United watch-along once. I don't do watch-alongs normally. And someone clipped me, and actually they have me cussing the Luton players for not crossing the ball well. I wanted Man United to lose so bad and cussed like that left back many times and cussed the forward and just... but anyway, it's how I watch football, to be honest. My wife, after this, she said, Daddy, watched you only for 3 hours. I've been living with you for 14 years. So...
Listen, all I will say is I thought it was great, but as a bald person, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm catching strays.
And I would say, as an ex-bald person, I feel the same. I'm still, it's still there.
You know what? Hossam, they were playing my video, and then there is some point in that rant where I literally stopped myself from saying something that will get me cancelled completely.
By the way, that's the thing is, I say things when I watch football that I don't mean in real life. Nothing.
Yeah, I don't mean it.
Nothing about anyone's religion or nationality, but I say horrible swear words at people when I watch football. Even about my own players, I don't really mean in a horrible way. It just comes out in football. The maddest thing is, if I watch tennis, MMA, rugby, I don't do it. It's only in football. It's very strange. So yeah, that's why I don't like watch-alongs, because I just like to be able to watch and say and do what I want when I want and not have to worry about getting viral.
I've had to catch myself a few times on a watch-along, you know, so I know the feeling.
No, I hear you. It's absolutely quality. Lots to talk about today on the show, people. Lots to talk about on the show. Hit the like button first of all. Make sure you're subscribing. Check out my new channel, The Squad. Very close to the new content coming, and I cannot wait. There's loads of great new things in the pipeline for the football terrace as well, and all will be made clear very soon. What's going on? Why there's been a bit of a delay, but I'm very excited about the future of the channel. The independent podcasts like Straight Facts and so forth, they're all going to be supercharged soon. They're going to look so different. It's going to be amazing. But loads to talk about today. Some Man United derangement syndrome we're going to be delving into. We're looking at Arsenal getting a little bit scarier with the renewal of some contracts and some links to some top players. We've got an England debate as well that I've seen Chelsea fans start today involving Cole Palmer, and we want to get your opinions and the viewers' opinions on that. And, of course, we're going to be looking at Chelsea, who, according to many mainstream media outlets, not only may be forced in court to unveil and detail some of, quote unquote, some dodgy dealings financially with past transfers, they also face potential Premier League expulsion, according to a number of outlets today as well. We're going to delve into all of that on today's show. Any other talking points you want, any questions you've got, of course, we prioritize our super chats and our member chats, so please get them into us as well. Lawless smiling as he talks about Arsenal.
Don't make me smile. When you said about them getting scarier, I'm thinking, how much scarier can we be? Every week we talk about how much scarier they are. It's honestly, it's going to be like The Ring or something. They are like The Ring 2.
Yeah. No, I hear you, mate. I really do. I wanted to start off with Man United, actually, because Lawless, you brought this up backstage. You're like, Terry, what are these links to Gareth Southgate? And they're around again today. Sky Sports is pushing it. What's your thoughts on it as a football fan? What is your thoughts on and the idea of this potentially happening?
I mean, surely Ratcliffe's, as a Man United fan, one of his first big major decisions won't be to hire Southgate, because I think that would be a terrible appointment. I think, you know, the fans, I can't see any fans being for it. You can look and say, yeah, he's done a pretty good job as England manager with one of the best England squads in a long time, most balanced England squads. And when you look at some of the teams that we've played, every time we seem to come up with a big team, most times we've lost. So, and this style of play as well, I think everything about it is just the absolute wrong fit and destined to fail. And I'm hoping for your sake, listen, for the hilarity and the banter, I hope it's true, right? But for your sake, I hope it's all just paper talk, because that would be a howler from Ratcliffe.
Did he overspend? Did he overachieve with England?
I think he underachieved with this squad.
So you think reaching a World Cup semi-final, a Euro final, losing in penalties, and reaching a World Cup semi-final in the last quarter final and losing to France when Kane missed a crucial penalty? It doesn't matter if you agree or not. I'm just asking the question.
No.
Because I'm English, right?
Yeah.
He overachieved.
I think on paper,
Do you
when
expect
you
to win?
but those achievements, Mo, right? You're right. If you look at it on the surface, that sounds great. But when we delve into the context, that World Cup, the fact that he got an OBE and Kane got an MBE, or the other way around, when we lost to the first decent team that we played in that World Cup. You know what I mean? We was Colombia, was it penalties? Colombia was taking England to penalties, for crying out loud. And you go and look at that Italian team that beat England. They went on to not even qualify for the next World Cup after that. So I think there's a lot of stuff with this quality team. I think he's underachieved with context. He's done better than previous England managers. But yeah, I think a better manager.
He's done better than every manager I've watched in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Bar 1990 when I was just 5 years old. So
But is he the man to get him over the line? That's the thing.
Yeah, look, he's definitely done well for England, but at the same time, it doesn't mean I want him as the Manchester United manager. And I do agree with you, Lawless, that as a rival, it would be absolutely amazing if Manchester United, after all the crap and rubbish that we've had to endure, when there's suddenly some excitement, when suddenly there's a little bit of hope that things are going to get better, that we end up down this road of having an absolute tin pot manager. Because I do think he'd be tin pot at Man United. There's so much that needs fixing. I don't think he's the guy to do that personally. I understand that he helped. Look, England are good now because of 15 years or so of work. People don't understand that the way England did a lot of work after the back of watching what Spain did to create like a national program, working alongside a lot of the football clubs to ensure that, like, we've probably now got the best technical football players England has produced in a long time. Not most talented, because the golden generation were very talented, but I don't think they had the technical ability in terms of tactical nous to hold on to the ball, to maintain possession. It's why we've done better at tournaments. But I still think that a better quality manager than Southgate takes us to another level. I think a lot of that is, ironically, he's going to be at Man United, is the work the likes of Dan Ashworth did behind the scenes. And I know Southgate was part of that. But am I worried about this particular story? That this, for me, is Man United derangement syndrome. There is, of course there is, in the same way that I truly believe that rivals were scared, they were fearful, and are now desperate for it to not happen, of Arsenal leaving the mud, of Arsenal from being the whipping boys, the banter boys, banter FC, to suddenly being a genuine contender, a genuine top-class team. There's always that fear when United get a new manager, when they sign a few good players. I think even more so now that the structure that everybody knows is our biggest problem is being addressed. The idea of Southgate coming in, I think it makes rivals go, please, because they're not really going to progress with him as manager. What I will say to anyone watching is this. This is the newspaper that has put the story out. Their front headlines talk about Y-fronts. They ask if this thing found in the desert is ET. They do stories about Madonna getting stuck under a bed. They do headline stories about not eating white snow. This is the Daily Star, people. So if you're not from the UK, you may not get it. Their headlines are crazy. The first 7 or 8 pages of this newspaper are genuinely pornographic. It is not a newspaper that is taken seriously. In fact, no one likes the Sun in England, but the Sun is often taken more seriously than the Daily Star. It may as well be the Beano, if we're being honest. And the bit that this is why I call it Man United derangement syndrome, though, because yes, someone here, TalkSport also put it out. TalkSport put it out. The Daily Mail put it out. Sky Sports are talking about it. But when you read all their articles, they all source the Daily Star. They say the Daily, as reported by the Daily Star. So I clicked on the
credibility. How are you sourcing that and using that as a source of news?
It's news. It's international break. Do you want to talk about something? It's just it's headlines. It's international break. But my thing about it, it's believable or not believable. If you can talk about Southgate going to Man United, I don't think it's the right manager for them. He shouldn't be even the 10th manager to be chosen in that list. Like, just get this out of the way, right? It's a joke. Like, about if he joins Man United, I think Man United will make more fun of Man United than actually will praise, and will, like, it will be just a joke around. My point about this, is it a believable story? And I looked at it, and I looked at how Sir Jim Ratcliffe said everything about the English stuff and all the stuff, and him being English himself. And I'm like, it might be believable, because there are other rumors before that he wanted Graham Potter, which is another English manager. So why not? Why we cannot believe this? It's English manager.
I would say this. Of course, there's a possibility someone like Southgate ends up at Man United. There's always a chance, but I believe that's if we don't get other top targets first. Because at the end of the day, we may need a new manager. But so I sort of look at it through that lens, if that makes sense, where I just think to myself, I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. But is there a possibility if target A, target B, target C, target D, target E says no? Yes, there is. Man United might get rejected by a number of people, and then you go down that pecking order. But the way it's kind of being put out there, and I'll show you the Daily Mail's article, Dan. So you stick it up on here. This is on their page. It talks about it, and then just scroll down. That's you see there. They quote the Daily Star. So when you start going, and then what you've got is you then have TalkSport and Sky that put the news out there. But what they turn around and say is they quote the Daily Mail. They say the Daily Mail has put it out. So go, oh, there's more credibility. It's Daily Mail. Now, the Daily Mail quoting the Daily Star, and everyone's done that. So, as I say, just because everybody's aggregating the news doesn't make it more credible. It's a talking point. And I think for me, it's the derangement syndrome that surrounds Man United. Let's look for a bad news story, because bad news about Man United sells, because all of our rivals tune in for it. But having spoke to Man United fans quite a bit over the last few days, I look at it along the lines of no Man United fan I'm speaking to is really worried about it. You get the guys that are always angry, and they're sort of like, if it happens, I'm boycotting. I'm like, so you didn't boycott the Glazers, but you boycott this. That's weird. But it's
that big account that's about, he switched to Real Madrid. What's his name? That Mike.
Oh, Mike. Yeah.
He's like, I'm see, this is why I'm a Real Madrid fan now, and yeah, them sort of accounts will always use it.
Well, but hold on. I'm sorry. I have something that I have to say about this. If push comes to shove, would you keep Ten Hag or would you hire Southgate?
Yeah, you got to keep Ten Hag, surely. There's no reason to even say
my head straight away just says I'd rather stick with Ten Hag than go for Southgate, because I don't believe it may improve a short term. You might get a little spike, but we're not going to end up in a better position, and we need better than that. So I'd rather hold on to what we've got until a legitimately better manager comes along. I don't see the point of going like for like. But to your point about like that Mike guy, I do love his Twitter account and how he switched. You know, Real Madrid are chasing Garnacho right now, and he can't stand Garnacho. So by all accounts, he's got to quit supporting them now as well. That's the problem with those sorts of views. This is the issue that I have. If you're a Man United fan, criticize us for the wrong things we do, but don't take a Daily Star story and use it as an opportunity to attack the club. Look at the credence of it. And I always say that, be harsh on your own football club when you have to be, but look at the credence of the story, look at the validity of the story, and then go from there. Not one highly credible source has said that he's high up. And the reason why I'm not worried is that when we announced Omar Barada, when we announced the Dan Ashworth situation, we knew we were looking at CEOs and sporting directors. But those two weren't names that anybody knew about. So I'm taking stock from that and saying the fact that Ineos got those deals done almost under the only reason the Dan Ashworth one has come out is because Newcastle have leaked it because he's leaving there. But That's all got done. That all got done under pretty much cloak and dagger. So I'm sure the managerial stuff is going to be done under cloak and dagger as well. So I'm not that worried about it at all here.
Does the Liverpool game and the performance not give Man United fans? I know it'd be reactionary to go from Ten Hag out to Ten Hag in off of one game, but does that not, give you some sort of optimism that maybe there's something that this can turn into, like a performance like that to overturn a game like that? That's incredible, and maybe there's something you can build off.
From my point of view, I've said for probably about 2 months now, I'm reviewing every game on win, lose, or draw. We win, I'm happy. We lose, I'm annoyed. I'm judging Ten Hag and should he stay based on performances. And we've been poor for weeks, poor performances. Win, lose, or draw, we've been poor in terms of performances. We had a sort of 40-minute spell, last bit of the first half and the majority of the second half, where Liverpool dominated us and you saw old habits come through. But for 35 minutes of that game, the last 10 minutes and then the whole of extra time, we were exemplary. I thought we were absolutely amazing. Of course, they had chances and there was things they did. They're Liverpool. They're a great team. And I'm as fair as I can be. And if we start to produce like that in most games between now and the end of the season, and we get better at it and we control more games, then there is an argument to say, maybe give him another year. And I always look at a manager's future based on the performances, as opposed to the performances based on what he's trying to do. So you've got David Moyes. You're never going to perform like Pep. But if you're getting wins and good performances based on a David Moyes style, well, it's working, which means the players are pulling in that direction. Do you rock the apple cart when it doesn't need to be broken is a thing. So if we're performing better between now and the end of the season, then I think there's a debate to be had. I'm not going to change my mind after one game. I'm not going to change my mind if we just win the FA Cup, because I want to look at sustainable performances are what produce Premier League winners and Champions League winners. But if we keep playing like we did for large parts of that game and it becomes consistent over the next 2 months, there has to be a conversation and an argument to say, well, if there isn't, because so far with everyone we're linked to, barring Alonso that we're not going to get, barring Simeone that I don't think we can get, Zidane that we can't get, and maybe Inzaghi who we can't get, there isn't a manager that more than 30% of the Man United fan base even agree on is good and like genuinely better. So therefore, if you can't agree that a manager, if 80%, 90% can't agree that manager A replacing Ten Hag is exponentially better and he improves performances between now and the end of the season, there's a debate to be had 110%. 110%.
And if the young players are getting the development that they want, I mean, bringing on an academy player, scoring the winner, you've got other young players that he's signed like Garnacho. That's what you want. There's a bit of a long-term project there when you have that youth, and you don't know if another manager's going to come in, tear that up, and then bring in more established players.
Yeah, I think I look at it this way. I look at Ahmad is a really good example of that. So I look at Ahmad and I think to myself, I've never been convinced with him being on the right. I don't know if he's got enough explosive speed in the Premier League to be really effective on the right-hand side. Very similar to Anthony. But he came on and played centrally the other day, and I thought he was astronomically good in defending off the ball. I thought he was decent on the ball. I thought he was so good at the press. He won the ball back. There was a tackle he made, I think it was on Darwin Núñez in extra time, where he runs back and wins the ball. And it was just mesmerizing for me. To watching him play in that 10 role, I was like, hang on a minute, who's this kid? Every time I've seen him play for us on the right, I watched him at Sunderland last year. I watched him at Rangers the year before that. I watched him and thought, on the wide positions, I just was never that moved. Centrally, I thought, wow. I know he's now banned for the next game because of the red card, the ridiculous red card they gave him. When you consider, by the way, that Howard Webb defended Kovacic not being sent off against Arsenal by saying that when it's a big occasion, we don't like to always send people off for 2 yellow cards because we understand the nature of the game. Imagine not understanding the nature of football in that particular moment based on what PGMOL have already told us. Anyway, so I look at things like Ahmad as give him a chance. So if the manager, you've done it for McTominay on a number of occasions when he's turned up, you've rewarded him with game time. I'd like to see Ahmad rewarded with game time here to see what he can do. If he doesn't and he just keeps him on the bench and reverts back to what hasn't been working in performances and we start to scrape wins and lose games again, I think that's it. Jury out. People are going to want him absolutely gone, almost to a degree where it doesn't matter who comes in because you're not learning from your mistakes. Somebody's come in and been brilliant. Meritocracy's got a rule here. give him more chances. So it's going to be a really interesting end to the season, I think, for Man United due to that win against Liverpool, which was massive. We're going to get to the FA Cup final. I don't want to upset the football gods or be disrespectful to Coventry, but I think at Wembley, the quality of our squad, I don't personally see them knocking us out. So we're going to make an FA Cup final. So the rest of the season is now really important to see how he prepares us for that. There's an half a chance.
That, you've got to back him. You've got to.
What?
Like, fans.
Have you not learned anything?
Yeah, but no, listen, Carabao Cup aside, like let's go. If he beats Manchester City in an FA Cup final, wins the FA Cup, he's already that's 2 trophies, right? You've got to surely then go, well, he's winning. He's winning. Okay, he's not getting top.
Completely disagree with you. Keeping the manager at Man United is not about winning the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup or beating Liverpool in the last minute. Yes, they were good, as Terry said.
We ain't West Ham. I'm joking.
With all due respect to any club, staying at Man United requires you to have a style of play, to have a plan, to look like a manager that can manage on the touchline, improve players, have good signing, back your signings yourself, and look like, to be honest, the guy doesn't know how to speak. The guy at the current moment, Terry is speaking about 20 minutes in a game or 30 minutes in a game. I'm speaking about a whole season when they regressed from last season. It will be a miracle if this guy can turn it around in the last 10 games of the season and get them fourth, right? It will be a miracle. Even if Aston Villa and Spurs drop, staying at Man United under the new management shouldn't be about giving a chance to Erik ten Hag. There's a new management out there. There's a new CEO. There's a new CFO, whatever. You have to hire the best. And at the current moment, Erik ten Hag isn't the best. Even if you get rejected by the
Champions
best.
League as well. If he gets Champions League too, because that could be
doesn't matter. He got Champions League. So you see the difference. He got Champions League last season, and he got third, and he won a trophy, and he regressed. This is not shouldn't be the measuring stick for Manchester United. Shouldn't be only. You are looking at it as an individual season. I'm looking at it as a tenure. As he started last season.
Yeah, I think both of you. I get where Dan's coming from, but I also I think for me it's about the performances. So if the next 2 months we really improve and we look a good team and it clicks into gear, then as I said, there's a debate to say maybe we stick with him and give him one more year, a summer of what he wants with a genuine structure behind him. If we win the FA Cup and scrape 5th because Spurs collapse, but we are still performing poorly and we're just falling over the line, I think you have to look at it more based on, is this team genuinely going to compete, start moving towards competing for the league? So I think you have to balance it. You have to factor it all in.
Yeah.
But performance for me, I think, is key. This is a super chat here from Ozan that says, big up Judge Mo. Who's your daddy?
Oh, shut up. This become my line now and everybody's saying it now, right? Like, come on. Oh, my God. Everybody's saying now, you're a Liverpool fan, so who's your daddy now? Who's your daddy? Just think, look at the mirror and ask yourself, who's your daddy?
It's what Safi came on and said about Hassam after we beat him. He just said, Hassam, who's your daddy? It was a very erotic. I couldn't look at him. I couldn't look at him in the eyes. I had to look away. I really did. Viewers, get like button smash for us. Get this past 1,000 likes whilst we are streaming and live. Henry and the Toad, we'll come back to your super chats a little bit later in the show when they're a little bit more relevant, because we're going to be talking on those points very soon. The Chelsea situation is really interesting right now. We know they're not doing particularly well in the league. Fans are looking forward to the summer and hopefully more investment. But big stories of a £200 million black hole that they have to resolve by the end of June by selling a lot of academy players. They need to get 40 million for Broja, 50, 60 million for Gallagher. And a lot of football experts and a lot of financial experts think they're going to breach the current Premier League's profit and sustainability regulations. They'll breach FFP, but they won't be in Europe anyway, so that's not really going to impact them. There is also a story that is circulating today. As you can see, Chelsea's 190 million losses raised doubt over rules. Chelsea heading towards bigger points deduction than Everton and Forest. And there's also charges of both Chelsea, they touch on Man City as well, facing expulsion from the league if found guilty of their FFP charges. There's also a big story today that Chelsea may be forced to lift the lid on Roman Abramovich's alleged questionable transfers activities next month in an ongoing legal case involving the former Stamford Bridge director, Marina. And a lot of Chelsea fans have played that down, saying it's quite normal for clubs to have to reveal certain pieces of information and we shouldn't worry about it. But with this, all the financial experts looking at the accounts of Chelsea and saying there's this big £200 million black hole, they've self-reported themselves for multiple financial, not even mistakes, mishaps, offshore transfers, and sort of mishandling of transfers and essentially breaking FFP rules. They've reported themselves. Now more information may be revealed in a court case, which is, if it comes out publicly, there could be evidence there for the Premier League to use against them in these investigations. And if you're seen to be a team that's cheated the system and then you're breaching FFP rules on top of that, Chelsea really could be facing an absolute massive punishment when you look at the fact that in the independent report that came from about Nottingham Forest, it stated that minor breaches will get small points deductions, but major breaches, which you assume Chelsea's could be, could result in expulsion from the Premier League. Dan, do you feel like Chelsea fans, with this further news of a big court case coming out, should be a lot more worried about the situation their club finds itself in?
Yeah, look, they'll know the insides of their club more than we do. But if I'm a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't be as relaxed and calm as that, because look, they may know their club, more than us, but they don't know the insides and outs, what's being investigated. So they could be sitting there relaxing, but there's no smoke without fire. And everything with this new takeover, everything that's happened and how they've gone about things, has just screamed incompetence. And I really wouldn't put it past any of it to be true. I mean, they was doing them sort of dodgy dealings, allegedly. I don't know what legal situation say, but when they were selling that dead wood for like 50-60 million to like Saudi and stuff like that, and they were selling them overseas to try and get around the FFP because he had some backdoor deal or something like that. So we've seen on the surface the shadiness. So if that's what we're all aware of and we're seeing, what's going on behind the scenes, and that, I could honestly see this coming back to bite them. And really, they could still qualify for Europe, because 8th might get Europe. So if I was them, I would try and slow down a bit, because like you said, if they was to be in Europe, because they could get Conference League. If Conference League gives 8th, they qualify for that. Then they've got a whole nother mess to worry about. But yeah, expulsion for the league, I don't think will happen. But points deduction will probably, I can see that happening, but it won't be enough to relegate them, I don't think. So they'll probably be.
So there are. So just for the people that this is gonna rattle you guys in the chat, a lot of you. So hit that like button now. Let's get to 1,000 likes before we go on. Seriously, because this is gonna rattle a lot of you people. For everybody that wants, get Man City down, get Chelsea down. These are two different. What Chelsea are doing now is what Nottingham and Forest and Everton have done, but on a bigger scale. Like Everton and Nottingham Forest, they breached FFP by overspending, right? But Chelsea have done it for 200 million, while Nottingham Forest and Everton have done it with much smaller. So Chelsea,
90 million, I think they did.
Yeah, so Chelsea aren't cheating the system. Chelsea mismanaged their accounts because Todd Bowley just overspent without knowing what's going on, so he's gonna make money, and he didn't. So Chelsea, they breached FFP, so they didn't cheat, they breached FFP. So they deserve a point deduction, same as Nottingham Forest and Everton. Man City are denying all of this. Man City are saying, no, we're good. You can prove that we breached FFP. No, we're good. Come try to. So if Man City proven guilty, they cheated the system. But Chelsea reporting that, our finances are not aligned because we breached FFP. We overspend what we can spend. That's different. I don't believe
that contract links were supposed to get round that, Mo. Didn't they do?
Hold on. There are two cases here, and Terry actually explained that. One of them is the financial fair play. The second is the transfer. Okay. These are completely different.
So it's not based on wages.
Let me just jump in for a second. So what you're talking about, we'll get on to Dan. So there are connections to City and there are differences. What TalkSport and the financial expert Stefan spoke about yesterday around this £200 million black hole, that is pure FFP overspending and losses that they are currently facing. And that is heavily due their whole process of spending $1 billion and putting these wages and doing 8-year contracts was in the hope of getting back into the Champions League last season and this season. With 2 years of no Champions League money, in terms of their projections, that is a £300 million black hole of no income, and they've missed out on Europe altogether, so it's an even bigger hole, right? They're also, though, being investigated for dodgy transfer deals. So, for instance, they had deals for Willian, deals for Etu. These are old, these are historic, that appeared in turn when they reported their finances as and the net spend calculator that the media looked at. These appeared as like free transfers. What Chelsea Football Club have found since purchase, what Todd Bowley and Clearlake have found since purchasing Chelsea, is that actually they didn't declare anything through the club to buy those players, but there was offshore payments made to football clubs and or connected people of tens and 20s and 30 worths of millions of pounds. So it looks like they've paid for players, but outside of the football club, so that the club can say we got them for free, which is a complete and utter, if true, is a complete and utter breach. So the reason Chelsea are in trouble, and so I say about this court case that's going on, there's probably been 100 occasions in the last 30 years, maybe more, where Premier League clubs have had to reveal internal matters in court cases where they're being sued, etc. And most of the time, it could be a little bit embarrassing, it could be a bit frustrating, or completely ignored by the world. But Jem was in a group chat of ours earlier, and he sort of said this is a kind of normal activity, and he's right, it is. But where I think he's kind of missing maybe the point a little bit, and it's not a dig at Jem, it's just when it's your own club, sometimes it's really hard to lift your head above the parapet. You're already under investigation for self-reporting yourselves. The Premier League and the independent commissions, when it comes to FFP, have said that major breaches are going to get in real big trouble. But you've also seen Nottingham Forest get into less trouble than Everton for losing more because they cooperated. Now that I'm seeing Chelsea cooperate loads with the Premier League by self-reporting, look, we found this problem and that problem, please come in and look, we want to help you out. That tells me they know there's trouble ahead, because they're doing everything they can to get the Premier League on their side. They're doing the complete opposite to City, which is City are turning around and saying, we ain't giving you access to nothing until we're forced to. You've also now got the government's new legislation, which is essentially to regulate football, which means they could theoretically turn up tomorrow morning at Chelsea, West Ham, Man United, and go, we want to go through all your books. We want all this documentation. We want proof that you're getting the money from here, and proof that this company is real, and proof. How do they approach you? Show us the first email, show us whatever it may be. All these things I think are going to cause people. I think when you look at the overall picture at Chelsea with the potential FFP breaches, they're self-reported of already financial mismanagement and potential dodgy dealings. The court case that might reveal additional evidence, plus the government now coming in to come down hard to make sure clubs are run properly. If I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm not sitting back going, it's all going to be okay. For me, you should be, if you're part of an official supporters club, knocking on the door, saying we need answers, we need information, we need to know what's going on to a certain degree. Because they don't read, for me, even if they're not kicked out the league, they get a 20 points deduction next year. No matter what who's going to come to your club? It means you're not making European football again. And the problem is, the longer you stay away from it, the less income you're going to have, because sponsors are going to pull away, or they're not going to pay as much money. Yes, you've got a lot of fans. Yes, you've got a lot of support. But we have seen great clubs fall from grace before, and it's nearly always due to the mismanagement by the people internal at their club. And I think if you look at what potentially Roman did wrong in his era, coupled with the craziness that Todd Bowley and co are doing, you add that together, it doesn't smell good for Chelsea. And I'm saying this from a position
of players as well, like Cole Palmer.
It could.
But I just have to say one thing: the Premier League cannot afford to kick Chelsea out and Man City.
Why?
They just can't.
Why?
Because the brand is too big. Because the Premier League is an entertainment at the end. Yes, it's football and everything, but the brand consists of all these clubs. And I'm sorry, part of the big clubs are Man United, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea. I'm looking at it from outside. You kick out Chelsea and Man City, you lose competition. You take years for you to build back a couple of clubs to be able to challenge to be part of the top 6. It takes years. As of now, you as a YouTuber, right? You as a YouTuber, pundit, whatever, myself, Lawless, we have shows called Top 6. Are we going to make a Top 4 show now?
No,
Are we going to lose?
Maybe, but they're not. Let me ask you a question. Where's the precedent for what you're saying? Because you're a fan of Serie A. Teams that have cheated over there.
Yeah, but I tell you what happened in Serie A.
Yeah, but the teams that have cheated over there, they've been kicked. The big teams, Juve, biggest team around, one of the biggest teams around in Italy, kicked out the league. We've seen Rangers in Scotland. Scottish football is literally the old firm.
Tell you the difference.
Rangers went out of business.
Guys, how many times I have to see the difference? I don't want to cut you off, but how many times?
Hang on, let me just finish my point, though.
Cut you off, but Juventus bribed the referees. Juventus bribed the referees.
Okay.
Literally called the assessor.
Hang on a minute. Just slow down a minute. I'm not saying the cases are the same. My point is, through the history of sport, okay, whether you're a big name or small name, we have seen cheats. We have seen people that have broken rules. In Scottish football, they relegated because of mismanagement financially, which led to them going bankrupt. We saw Rangers kick down to the lowest level of Scottish football, and it took them years to get back up to the old firm. Scottish football would have more of an argument to turn around and say, look, we've got to keep Rangers up here because without the old firm, it kills our league. And it didn't happen. I actually think, personally, it is more damaging to let's just paint a picture that Chelsea are 100% guilty of everything they're currently being accused of. And they've bought 5 players before that are down as free transfers that they paid money for. There's reports that they've self-reported for. This isn't the media. This is Chelsea saying that when they signed Conte, like an £8 million payment was sent to not the agent, but a very close confidant of Conte the day before he signed, and it's all off the books. Say all this is true. Plus they're £200 million over on FFP, plus more stuff comes out in this court case. I think it's financially more damaging to the Premier League to give them a slap on the wrist and a 10-point deduction, and that's it. Financially, I think that would hurt the Premier League more when it comes to sponsors, when it comes to further lawsuits, than it would saying, do you know what, we're actually going to reprimand you properly, because what that sends out a proper message. We've seen in most of us, the only sport that doesn't do it properly, in my opinion, in the modern day game, is in boxing. Everyone who fails drug tests in boxing seems to get off now because they ate bad eggs or a funny bit of steak. But in every other sport I've ever watched, cycling didn't care that it chopped down Lance Armstrong. Athletics and the Olympics have literally taken gold medals of some of their greatest ever athletes. I just don't personally believe that with the precedent the Premier League have set with Everton and Forest so far, I don't think they're just going to let Chelsea off or
punish them.
Or anybody
punish
off.
them. Punish them.
But
expel them. Hold on. When you say expel them, that means you kick them out of the league. Chelsea and Man City aren't part of the Premier League anymore, aren't part of English football anymore. That's what you want.
No.
Where are they going to go? They're going to go championship? Is that what you're going to do?
If they get like an 80-point, I don't know, just say they get a 50-point deduction or an 80-point deduction, or they're kicked out the Premier League, it doesn't mean they can't get back into it. It just means.
But that's what I mean. But the word people say kick them out. Of my point, what I said is that the Premier League as a brand cannot afford to not have Man City and Chelsea for 2-3 seasons in there.
Why?
They're losing viewership.
What do you think will happen to the Premier League?
Viewership is going to go down. Money is going to go down.
No.
That's what happened in Italy. By the way, when Juventus went down, by the way, the downfall of Italian football started with this Calciopoli thing. And I'm not about not putting Juventus down. They did put Juventus down. I am talking about people think that I'm with not punishing them. I'm not. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. I'm not telling you not to punish them. I'm not.
Chelsea
about that.
fans still watch
give
the
them.
Premier League.
Hold on. Give them whatever points deduction. But the fact that a lot of people are saying on social media, kick them out of the league, do not allow them in the league. You're not understanding the precaution of this. You're not understanding the millions of people that watch the Premier League because of Chelsea and Manchester City.
I think you'll miss. I think what I want to make sure we clarify. Yeah. I don't think anybody means kick them out and never let them back in. I think it's the punishment should be so severe that they have to work their backsides off to get back to the privilege of being, because being in the Premier League is a reward for getting there because it's financial, but it's a privilege. And I get where you're coming from, and I don't think your point holds no water. I just don't think the Premier League would be that stupid. I think they would, in the world we live in as well, in this kind of cancel culture environment, I think a lot of brands would turn around and go, do you know what? We can't be associated with an organization that isn't going to punish people that have cheated the system. I think they would lose a lot more. I don't think viewership would go down what you've got to remember as well is this stat came out a few years ago. I'd love to see it redone. 62% of all tweets about the Premier League are about Manchester United. So as long as Man United and Liverpool are in the league, the viewerships are going to stay high. We already know that, right? Because the numbers are there. Losing Chelsea, yes, it would damage. Some Chelsea fans wouldn't watch the Premier League for a period of time. However, it's not going to damage English football because then they're going to watch the Championship, or then they're going to watch League One, or then they're going to watch League Two. Most Chelsea fans are not going to turn their back. And the plastics, by the way, because all clubs have these guys. Every club has a section of fans, Johnny-come-latelys. They'll just go and support another Premier League team. They will. They just won't tell you because half these people are nameless and faceless on Twitter. All you've got to do is change your handle from CFC Trey to MCFC Trey and change it from a picture of Madueke to a picture of Jack Grealish. That's all they'll do. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't think it will be that damaging. Honestly,
so my point is, I believe if Man City and Chelsea go to League Two, it might take them longer than what we think to go back up. The money's going to dry up. Yeah, it's not about the players aren't going to stay. The money's going to dry up because the Premier League money is so good, right, that it keeps the clubs afloat sometimes, right? It might take them longer. Who are they going to get up? It might take them 3 years instead of 2 years. It might take them 4 years because the players might leave unless because just logically, and I'm not a financial advisor, if you keep the same players with the money in the Championship, you're going to go bankrupt.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
if you keep the same players on these wages in the League Two,
they can afford to sign better players than their if those in League Two, still with even FFP, they'd be able to spend more than their competitors, the teams around them.
You're assuming that, but I'm saying that the people think that KDB will stay and would be Man City will be able to pay the wage.
Again, Mo, it all depends. Dan's right. It all depends. So if they're put down to the National League North, then KDB and Haaland are all going. They can't afford them and they'll leave. If they're in the Championship for 1 year, they'll still keep a large percentage of their players because if they do that, they'll be back in the Prem the next year and the money will be there. So I think you have to, sorry, Dan, over to you, but I think you have to weigh up where they go and how long.
Yeah, Dan, can I ask a question to you, Dan? When you guys say expel, you mean just the Premier League? That's the top flight.
Yeah,
that's what you mean.
You're out of the
Premier League. But you're Championship is all right. Okay.
Yeah, so and that's up to them, whether it's down to lower divisions. But even what I'm saying is, even if they had to sell all of their top players, right, would still be able to say they went down to League Two, they'd be able to attract Championship caliber players because of who they are and what they've got to spend versus their competitors, right? And we've seen someone like Wrexham come in. And with the brand recognition of Ryan Reynolds and all of that, they've been able to spend more than their competitors by having higher attendances, getting bigger sponsors, attracting that than their teams around them. So I don't think they would languish for 4 years in like League Two or League One. I think they would get up quite quickly.
I think it all depends on what also would be a factor for City and Chelsea and any one of our teams that this happened to is would the owners stay? You know, would the owners sell a lot? That's the thing. If suddenly the Sheikh turned around and said, "Do you know what? I feel like we've been mistreated. I'm leaving. I'm selling the club. I'll sell it," because he could afford to sell it for £1. He might not even get a price for it. That could change things dramatically. Clearlake and Todd Bowley could say, "We're out."
That would be scummy, considering it was them who kind of got them in that.
It would be, but if you're think about it, this is the irony of it. This is what I would say to fans of those clubs. If your owners are cheats, then why would they've already cheated you once by putting you in this situation? Why would they not cheat you again by pulling the rug from under your feet? Because at the end of the day, that's if they've cheated. You're not a great person anyway, right? If you cheated, like cheats are not the nicest of people. We have a super chat here that says lots of misinformation here. Listening to Bronson ex-City who faces 115 Chelsea losses, including women's team, stadium 100 and under 20s. Chelsea will get 3 sponsors, 4 shirts and training kits, 2 of which are 40 million each. Hall 28 million, Musiala sell-on clause, etc. So I don't think it's misinformation per se. And what I would say about Stefan, I know that he's an ex-Chelsea, an ex-Manchester City finance guy, but this is also being echoed by the likes of Dr. Rob and Kieran Maguire and other independent financial experts, and they're basing it on the trading accounts that Chelsea and so far, and the quarterly accounts that Chelsea are releasing. So, for instance, what nobody knew until very recently, including anyone in, and this is what I would say about misinformation. I know as a Chelsea fan to hear, and I respect the super chat. You've been a long time viewer at the Terrace, and I respect you. I'm not saying everything is 100% accurate. I'm saying you should be asking questions and not just going, it's all going to be okay, because the shock could be worse. You have to ask questions. And I'll tell you as to why. Everybody, including and their dog, thought that Mason Mount Sal last in the summer went into this year. We were all, every Chelsea fan I spoke to went, oh, that sorts us out for this year, FFP. And everybody believed that. Turns out the Mason Mount Sal went into last year. And nobody knew until those 6-month accounts came out. So this is why the experts are saying it's strange, because every time Chelsea feed the media with something about their finances, when the actuals come out, the actual financials come out, it isn't all adding up. So they're asking the questions. And of course, new sponsorship deals are on their way. But who would be surprised if some of these sponsorship deals don't have clauses in them? Because I know Man United do. That if you're not in the Champions League, so Man United, when it comes to Adidas, if we missed out on the Champions League more than 2 years running, there was something like a 25% reduction in that year's money that we got from them. So yes, you might have a £40 million shirt sponsorship coming that's been agreed, but that could be £40 million if you're in the Champions League. It might not be. It could be £40 million irrespective. But what if that drops to £20 million? All these things have to be considered, because if everything was all well at Chelsea, the finances would tell you that the actuals don't lie. They tell a very compelling story, by the way, about all of our football clubs, all of them. And it's what, it's people go, oh, I went on a website, Terry, and it says that Man City's wage bill is only 200 million. No, it's not. It's 490 million. Their trading accounts tell us that. And the trading accounts are more accurate than some website. Chelsea press, in my opinion, Chelsea media is still playing this down far too much. I'm equally not saying the world is ending. My point to Chelsea fans is you should be looking at this, you should be asking questions, and you should be scrutinizing to the nth degree to make sure forget yourselves, it's making sure your club is actually okay. Because I'm telling you this, your owners, there's something about them I don't trust. There's something about them I don't trust. The way they're grassing themselves up for things that have been done 10 years ago tells me they know there's issues coming. Because why are they trying to butter up the authorities? There's something about it to hear. And I'm saying this from a position of care, because I don't want to see anyone's club go through this. I've said about Chelsea the whole time. If City get relegated or get in trouble, have their trophies taken away for the Sheikh and co cheating, the people I'll feel sorry for the most will be Manchester City's fans, who, in my opinion, will have their history eradicated in front of their very eyes due to their owners not being honest. And I feel the same about Chelsea. If you guys end up losing a lot of what is your club because of financial mismanagement, lies, mistruths, and dodgy financial dealings, I will genuinely feel sorry for you. This isn't a place of me. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing about any of it. But I feel this stuff is serious, mate. I really think it's serious.
Not all of them. I wouldn't feel sorry for the guys that said, yeah, we can spend more. Give me more money. Let's outspend everyone. And we told them this is.
There was a story that came out.
I'm not like,
bro,
to be honest,
story, I want to say this was probably in about September. And I want to say it was Matt Law, but I could be wrong. Another Chelsea journalist said, yeah, look, don't worry, Chelsea fans. There's going to be another 300 million to spend next summer. Yeah. I remember looking at it as someone that has a certain level of financial experience. How, if you're not in the Champions League? How, if you don't increase? It doesn't make sense, because although you amortize it over 8 years, you're still creating a bigger and bigger debtor sheet every single year. Wage bills are going to keep increasing. They're going to keep going up if you're adding all these people on. They're also talking about increasing the wages of the likes of Cole Palmer and co. So you're increasing their wages, signing even more people, and they're not signing more kids. They're signing experience now. So they're going to be on big money. How are you affording this? There's a problem coming somewhere, because without Champions League money, all of us would be in trouble. All of us would be in trouble without.
That's why he went to Saudi Arabia. He's trying to raise sales again. Todd Bowley went to Saudi Arabia trying to raise sales again. He's trying to raise about 150 to 200 million of sales of some of the players he has to Saudi Arabia again.
I said debtors, by the way, creditors. You're creating more creditors, but you're creating more debt for your football club, whether it's wages. Wages are a debt as well, because they're obliged to be. It's not like a normal employee. You're obliged to pay them. You can't get away from it. This year says we differ there, Tell. I want to see them relegated. Mo, ignorance isn't an excuse for negligence. Down, Chelsea, down.
I never said that. I said I probably misunderstood what the people said about expel them or from the league. Championship is going to be fine if it goes 1 year and they can come back up. That's fine. But I think they're going to be hit financially with a big thing, and I don't think they can keep the players. But we'll see. Listen, Leeds are in the current moment in that, if I'm not mistaken, in the top 20 clubs in terms of revenue around the world. What are they now? Championship, they're struggling. It's not only about the money. 20. Imagine this. Leeds are in the top 20 clubs, if I'm not mistaken. Right? In terms of like their revenue, their turnover is like 200 million plus something like this. Listen, I think the Premier League created a brand. They will punish Chelsea. They will find a way to punish Chelsea, I believe, without expelling them from the league. I agree with it or I disagree with it. That's not my place to say that. I am just telling you what is going to happen. I believe, this is when we disagree with Lawless and Terry, that if City and Chelsea, both of them expelled from the Premier League, it will hurt the brand. They disagree with me. I'm not here to give like what should happen, to tell you what should happen in the league or something. There are people that actually know the law that they will give.
And this is the thing, like I just researched this while we were looking, and this is just very quick. The new shirt sponsorship is going to be 40 million. Cool. But the old shirt sponsorship was also, according here to this report, from free was 40 million a season. So yes, you've got a new one coming in. It's only replacing the same amount of money. And this is what I would say to Chelsea fans. Research what all the old sponsors for your training kits are, what the new ones are, and look at the difference in them.
Because it makes a flashy headline, doesn't it? Chelsea get new 40 million sponsor, and you think, oh, wow, that's brilliant. But you don't think, what was the old one? Like,
what was the, again, you might find, okay, the last training kit sponsor was 25 million. The new one is 30. Great, it's 5 million up. It's a drop in the ocean for what you need. So I just think it's worth, this is what I say to Chelsea fans. Don't disbelieve and go mental. Don't bury your head in the sand like an ostrich. Scrutinize and research from, like, take yourself out of being a Chelsea fan and look at it and open your eyes a little bit, I would say here. Let's do some of these super chats. Talk Leicester. They are on the brink of coming up. They are on the brink of coming up. It's good to see them back in the Premier League. I like Leicester. Twitter is children. Why do you take them seriously?
Because there are millions of people on Twitter, and these are actually fans.
And some of these accounts...
I hate this. I hate this. When people say Twitter, people aren't real fans. So who are the real fans then? The only people that go to the stadium or the people that don't go to Twitter? All of us are fans, right? I support my club. As long as you stay within your club, since you chose your club, you're a real fan, right? People that go to the stadiums or people that don't go to the stadium. Twitter people, Twitter is a part of social media. Are YouTubers fans and Twitter aren't? Are Twitch people fans? People, stop this notion. Yes, they are kids and they are real people. They are trolls, but they are still fans. They're still fans. They're still part of the fan base.
Terry's got breaking news.
It's breaking news, yes, but it's a madness news. I'm going to put this up on the screen so everybody can see that I'm not making this up and I'm not lying and I'm being fair. So UEFA, from the beginning of next season, you can't spend more than 70% of your income on transfers, agent fees, salaries, bonuses, player expenditure. The Premier League is going to be adopting that as well. This is why Chelsea's situation is so interesting to me. So let me just put my screen on full screen, and then I'm going to share my screen with you. So this is Chelsea's last set of trading accounts, as you can all see here. 589 million of income they have coming in. Great. 79%, this figure here shows 79% of Chelsea's turnover already gets spent on wages.
Wow.
So that's 9% above the new limit. That doesn't include, ladies and gentlemen, transfer fees. That doesn't include bonuses. That actually might include the bonuses, to be fair. Let me take that away. Doesn't include transfer fees, doesn't include agent fees for players. So Chelsea have to reduce their salary by 9% and probably more so. What they're spending a year on players. And by the way, you can't do net spend because the income of the club already includes the players you sell. So let's say Chelsea are averaging what? 150, 200 million a year in sales. That's a good 20 to 30% of your turnover. You add that in, you were spending more than 100% of your income on player expenditure. That had to drop by 30% under these new rules and regulations. So, or you've got to increase your income by hundreds of millions of pounds net per year. This is why Chelsea fans, I'd never even read that. I just went to, this is from Deloitte, very credible. This is from your trading account. This is why I say that Chelsea fans do the research away from your own media outlets and your own journalists and start looking into it yourself, because there are some sums here that just to me, don't look right and should worry you, because you can't keep spending at the rate you are. You can't keep the salaries at the, and by the way, you reduced your salary by a lot of money in the last 12 months, and it's still at 79% of your turnover. That has got to change. You know, and I'm not attacking Chelsea. I'm defending you. But sometimes in life, you have to call out the problems. That is astronomically bad. When you consider, by the way, if I'll actually re-add this to the stream so you guys can see it. Let's just look at other clubs here. So Liverpool, turnover £100 million more than you, 63% of their turnover goes on salary. But you look at Manchester United, who turn over nearly £200 million a year more than you, but only 51% of our turnover is spent on salary. Arsenal, turnover a little bit less than you, but only 51% of their turnover is spent on salary. You go up to like City, 300 nearly million point of income comes in, 20% less spent on salary than you. You know, this is, you start going through it. We'll have a look at West Ham here.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Here we are. So West Ham, £275 million a year income. 57% of that is spent on salaries of your players. You know, by the way, Man City spend nearly over £200 million more a year on their salary than your income comes in. So when people say, West Ham have got to try and compete with City, it's impossible. Like the money just is not there. And this is why Chelsea fans have to wake up and start smelling the coffee.
Yeah, but
you've got to reduce your spending by about 40 to 50%. So whatever you spend on salaries and transfers has got to drop by 40 to 50% to comply with Premier League and UEFA FFP regulations coming forward.
And if they can't do this now,
how can you do that and still compete with everyone?
8 years contract, people. You gave these guys 8 years contract. 8 years contract. You have to sell them. Who's buying them? These players are going to sue the club probably. They want their money. Yeah, this is what, when we said 8 years contract and amortization and all this stuff, these guys are on 8 year contracts. They want their money. They want their bread.
And by the way, for Chelsea, this isn't an off season. In the last 5 years, it's been 70%, 77, 77, 71, 79. So you're consistently at 70% or over for 5 years, plus your transfers, plus. And if you just Google for a second here, right? I'll just hide this. How do I make this go away from me? F10. I don't remember now. There we go. Premier League agent fees. Okay. It's why I love doing podcasts rather than short videos for this stuff. So if you look at the agent fee spend, I'm looking for a little graph that shows what everybody spends. City spent over 50 odd million. Chelsea on average in the last 4 seasons, 43 million a year. So you throw 43 million into that, plus what you averagely spend the summer on players, what 150 to 200 million. You had if you just add 200 million to your wage bill. Let me just do this very quick math now. 579 minus 79% is 400. So 457 million a year on salary still, right? Plus, say 200 million on agent fees and players. You're spending just under 100 million pounds more a year than you turn over. So to get to the 70% mark of what you turn over, you've got to reduce your. I don't even know how to work this out now. If you minus, I'm going to minus about 45% of that. Just doing this very quickly.
Gary, the financial advisor now. Here you go.
Minus 30%. You've got to minus about 40% of your spending. So your wage bill and what you spend on transfers has got to be reduced by about 40% to comply. That's crazy. I don't think Chelsea
are going to sign anybody next summer, to be honest. I think he's just gonna try to sell players and work with kids.
Maybe,
but like
yeah.
you said, Mo, who's going to buy their players unless it is a Cole Palmer or someone's special? Who is going to buy these players on 8-year contracts? The ones, especially the ones that they're willing to sell, even the ones that maybe are on shorter contracts that they just don't want anymore, you know, and on high wages. Like, and this is why they're all talking about Poch out, Poch out. I don't think Man United, Chelsea can afford to sack Poch.
I actually want to have another. I actually looked at the Chelsea squad. They don't have assets to be sold. They don't have the likes of Tammy Abraham to be sold again, Tomori to be sold again. You look at their squad, they don't have these type of players, right? They sold Armando Broja to Fulham on loan with an obligation. They don't have, like, Conor Gallagher is the asset that only can be sold. But remove Conor Gallagher from that team, you end up with Lavia who's injured, Caicedo injured. That's your midfield.
And is Gallagher even on that high wages, really and truly?
No, it's not. It's not. But he raises money. But my problem is Chelsea's squad isn't that deep in terms of experienced players that can actually play. The rest, all the players that we see, like Chokameka, Ogochoko, these are youngsters, right? They can try to sell these, but who's going to play? Sterling is going to play, for example. Is that who you're going to play? Start every game? The problem is, looking at Chelsea, they don't have a lot of assets to sell for big money. They have players to sell for like 15, 20 million. Unless he goes to Saudi Arabia and try to sell.
And this is the thing. So there was talk about this £500 million investment into the club, but that's only limited what they can. There's only a limit of what they can spend on transfers and players, because the regulation, as far as I've read, and if somebody can show me something different and educate me, I'm always open to it. It's about your turnover. And typically investment isn't necessarily seen as turnover into a business. Does that make sense? So Chelsea, and you're talking about £150 million a year black hole. And there's another thing that Chelsea are now losing out on financially, which no one really speaks about now, but I remember bringing this up a few years ago. Chelsea used to make, so Roman used to pump in about 30 to 40 million pound a year into the club, and they used to create big debts in a sister company's name. I think they owed him nearly £2 billion when he sold the club. He just wrote the debt off. That's how much he used to bankroll the club. But also, Chelsea used to make about 40 to 50 million pound a year through the loan system. But that loan system, FIFA put a stop on it. You can't loan out as many young players anymore. So Chelsea used to have that brilliant academy. They used to buy lots of young talent, but the sole objective was to loan them out to create a yearly income through loan fees, which supplemented their turnover. That's gone. Roman's money's gone. Champions League money's gone. That's a 200 to 250 million pound a year financial black hole for the club. And yes, Clearlake and Bowley have bridged some of that with new sponsorship deals, but it isn't anywhere near. It hasn't grown you from a club turning over 400, 500 million a year to a team turning over 700, 800 million a year. It's kind of kept you where you were. But at the same time as doing that, the regulations are coming in, plus you've lost money previously. And for some reason, you've reported yourself for breaking the rules in those Roman years, which could see you with, and this is the thing, even if it's just points deductions. Let's say, because what I would actually do to Chelsea and to City, if they're guilty of everything they've done, is I probably wouldn't kick them down to the lower leagues. I'd give them a, do with City, I'd give them an 80 points deduction, but I would attribute it at 20 points a season or 25 points a season. So they stay in the Premier League so the club doesn't go bust, because I don't want the club to go bust. I don't want the local, anything around it to suffer with the club going bust. They'd also smash the lower leagues if the owner stayed, so it isn't really fair on everybody else down there. But I would take their ability away, really, unless they overachieve to be in Europe or to win the title. That way they're punished, but not punished to a point where it would ruin the football club. That's what I would personally do. But let's just say they get a 10-point deduction next year, Chelsea. Probably going to see them not in the Champions League again. Most teams that qualify for the Champions League, unless you win it with 100 points, cannot afford a 10-point deduction. If you start getting to 3 to 4 to 5 years with no Champions League football, how do you get out of this mess? It's again, maybe I'm wrong, but there's something not right here, in my opinion. We're going to go to some super chats on it here. My brother here says, Bronski said in February that Chelsea would foul last year's FFP. We didn't. Will you call them out? If this turns out to be a nothing burger and Chelsea are fine, of course I will. But remember, Chelsea didn't foul partly because they put the Mount money into last season, but they publicly told everybody they're putting it into this season. So those are the reasons why I'd be concerned. And also, a lot of Chelsea fans expected to be back in Europe this year, Champions League even. So everybody, I think a lot of people just went, yeah, we're close to it, but spent loads of money, got rid of the dead wood, got Poch. Champions League football's coming back. And by the way, if you qualify for the Champions League this year, you'd be fine. To a certain degree, financially, you'd be fine. Never cheat and get 100% on a test. Man City overdo it, and now everyone is under investigation.
Yeah. Oh, that's a brilliant super chat. That's a brilliant super chat, of course.
What's the prize money for FA Cup now? Because obviously that's a little bit of a hope, is they can get some money in by winning the FA Cup. Obviously that qualifies them for Europa League as well.
Bruv, it's 2 million quid.
What?
What are you thinking, bro? What did you think?
No wonder it's in the situation it's in.
You win the Champions League, you make 100 million.
This is This is the thing.
Million, bro.
Honestly, if I could ever meet Elon Musk, one of the things I would say to him is again, I'd love to get on with him, all right, and just so that he'd be like, oh, I love Terry, just so I could say, do us a favor, mate, sponsor the FA Cup so that there's like £100 million prize every year. Just because I want to see the way people suddenly call it serious now, there's more prize money. But yes, 2 million quid again for Chelsea. The qualifying for Europe could be a problem for them. Could be,
yeah.
Because it would be an extra 6, 8, 10 games they have to put on. Yes, that's income. You lose 45 to 50% of that income on expenditure on the day. Plus, you probably got to pay out more bonuses to players. You might end up finding that qualifying for the smaller European trophies for Chelsea will cost them more money than they'll make. It's crazy. It's unfair on the EFL teams that have been working hard for years to get promoted. If their chances are taken away by City and Chelsea, make them start over.
That's exactly what I was telling you guys about. That opinion, kicking them out to the national leagues, kicking them out of the to the non-league system. I'm like, you're finishing the club. This is not gonna happen.
I mean, on a comedic side, it would be amazing to see Erling Haaland playing in the Conference North. Do you know what I mean? Against Accrington Stanley in front of 17 people. It would be amazing.
That would be fantastic. A mud.
But yeah, I don't think it goes that far.
I want to see what Erling Haaland can do on the pitches that these guys do play on. I want to see that real talent. That's what I want to do.
You talk as if we bought all these young players with their own money. We never wanted these owners. We never had these problems before. It's all happened after the war. I blame the UK government for this.
You guys, okay, not you in particular. A lot of Chelsea fans were telling us these are amazing owners. They spend money. They're gonna do this, the project, that. Caicedo, Enzo, and now because of the problems, and I'm not talking about you particularly, but I'm talking about the majority of the Chelsea fans that I spoke with in the summer. They were telling us, "You wish you have Todd Bowley. You wish you have Todd Bowley. You wish your club can spend that much. You wish you can get Caicedo and Enzo and Lavia and this and that. You wish this. You wish that." Now, because the trouble is happening, it's we never wanted these owners. Yes, Abramovich is good, but Todd Bowley, you guys,
I don't have
about Todd Bowley.
Exactly. I don't have the overlay on this part of, so I'm gonna have to change what they call the brand on StreamYard for a minute. But we know this is true because if we go to this overlay, which is gonna, well, that's fine. It hasn't really changed just too much. This is what Chelsea fans were saying in the summer. They were loving him. They were loving him in the summer. They were loving him. They really, really were. Not this guy, but I'm not blaming the UK government. At the end of the day, what happened, and the UK government has to follow. I'm not sure if you are American, but you're paying with US dollars. It's like there's a lot of, when I worked in banking, there's a lot of countries that the bank I worked for had to have sanctions against, but not because the UK government did it. It was because the US did it. And it's like a knock-on effect of those things. But end of the day, I'm not going to get into the political side of it. Chelsea fans have got to do more. I have a question. How much can Liverpool spend if Liverpool got richer owners and an owner is allowed to pump in 100 million? Is that not how much they spend?
Before you answer that, Terry, I've got a bounce. If you've got the two-person overlay.
I do.
I get the knock. Yeah. So yeah, listen. Great show, great chat. Everyone thumbs up. Yeah, thanks for having me even though I'm away.
No way. And you're on holiday. Go and enjoy your meal tonight, my friend, on your holiday, and I'll speak to you soon. Yes. Cheers, Lawless. Top man. Thank you. Yeah, he is away. We'll do that. I like being on this side. I don't feel normal. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know how much exactly they've got to spend, but yes, they can pump £100 million every 3 years in. Have the public been given a timeline in what to expect with the final decisions of Chelsea and City? With City
2025.
Well, City, we know that there's going to be the hearing is going to start in the autumn of this year. With Chelsea's, they're still under investigation, so no. Dan, what do you think on Sullivan on the Super League? He's not here to answer that now, but we'll pose that to him next week, my friend. Remember, write down players' costs max 5-year under UEFA, not contract periods as in the Premier League. This is the big problem due to the length of contract payments. I hear you, Harold. That's a great point. Don't worry, Mo. They will be plenty of hate-alongs when Arsenal play. Viewership saved.
Yeah.
Chelsea fans need to protest. They may lose their team. I agree. I think they've got to do something. Let's show YouTube by smashing the like button on this channel. Top channel. Thank you, Lone Star. I appreciate that.
I don't know why you guys are not on 1,000 likes yet. We're only 100 likes away. There's almost 3,000 people here. And I don't know what is hard of hitting the like button underneath your live chat. I know you're loving that chat, the hate, the trolling, but you can just close that, like the video, looks like a thumbs up, and then come back chat with us. Let's get those 1,000 likes within the next 5 minutes.
Well, that'd be nice. We should be over 1,000 in the next 3 seconds. We should be. Amazing how politically connected this is. Once Liverpool and Forest FFP deductions were raised at an inquiry with MPs, and weeks later they reduced the punishment. Look, I don't think it's necessarily political. I mean, there was generally in football, whenever you appeal something, it reduces it. We've seen it for years with Chelsea's original transfer ban. Madrid had a ban. Barca had a ban. They appeal it. It's lessened. I don't think it's necessarily political, but the government in the UK have been looking to try and combat and regulate football for a while. So that's why. Mo saying not good for the Premier League. You're condoning cheating.
I'm not. I'm just stating a fact. You just don't understand. I'm stating a fact. I believe anybody that thinks Chelsea and Man City within like one moment aren't in the Premier League aren't going to hurt viewership and it's not going to hurt the money. You're just kidding yourself. I know that. I do support the Premier League club. I don't care, but I want the best. I want the best Premier League out there. And Terry thinks cheating or not cheating. I'm on with what Terry said. 20 points a season. They start from 20 minus 20 points.
I agree. I think we've got to find a fair punishment if these clubs are guilty of what they've done. Thank you, Luke Skywalker. Honest answer. Do you believe Chelsea and City should be punished? Yes. Yeah, 100%. They should be punished if they are guilty of what they've done. Not worried. This from Gav. Not worried on financial owners or financial people. I'll wait for the books to come out. Talksport guy lost credibility as soon as he was asked about City. I understand that, but the situations are different. He's talking about what your financials actually say versus his opinion on the City situation that we all have limited information on. So I do think there is a difference there, Gav, but I hear you, bro. A City ex-employee from 20 years ago is an expert on Chelsea, yet Terry refutes the story from the start. So it isn't that he's an expert on Chelsea. He is an expert on finance, and he is reading your official financial accounts and looking at the holes of that are in them. But it isn't just him. All the financial experts are doing this. The media seem to be playing it down. And typically I side with the financial experts on this. That's all I'm saying, my friend. Mo saying not good for the Premier League. Oh, sorry, we've done that super chat there from AMT. Mo, why can City spend but Chelsea can't?
I literally explained that in the beginning. City literally said we didn't cheat. Chelsea are saying we mismanaged the club. Guys, I hope that people understand. I'm not an expert, and you should at least use common sense. The toad. Just use common sense. Chelsea literally mismanaged the club, so they breached FFP. City are saying, no. We haven't cheated. It's on you to prove that we cheated. It's completely different. And by the way, I believe that if you believe the punishment should be different for both, because one of them literally cooked. Chelsea didn't cook the books, as far as we know. Chelsea literally reported and said, we mismanaged. We have a black hole of 200 million, and we need to fix up. If they can fix up, they get punished. City is different. And even though my opinion in City just rattles a lot of people, that's for a different episode.
Changing the thank you, 1,100 likes now. That's amazing. Thank you all very, very much. I wanted to change the subject slightly, keeping it a bit on Chelsea. I saw a tweet today that's caused a lot of debate, and I want to get Mo's opinion on this. Cole Palmer should start for England over Bukayo Saka.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Oh my God, he played half a season, and you guys, he's good player. Cole Palmer, I like him. I like how he plays. Bukayo Saka starts ahead of everyone in England on the right winger, in my opinion. Even Phil Foden, by the way. Even Phil Foden on the right winger. Numbers don't lie, non-penalty. And I'm not going to talk stats on the eye. I believe Bukayo Saka is a better winger than Cole Palmer, right? Cole Palmer is a very good player, but he's more of a playmaker winger. Bukayo Saka is better on the right side. Fans, you guys, I know that people like to raise this, and I like it. I love debates about players, and I like the comparison between Palmer, Saka, and Foden. But I think Saka is still a superior player to Foden, especially on the right wing. If Palmer is going to start, he should start in the middle as a 10, but there are better players than him in the league, which is Maddison. Foden is a better player at the 10. Bellingham from Real Madrid is a better player in the 10 than him. I don't believe Cole Palmer has a starting place in the England national team. He can be a sub for Saka sometimes, but I believe Saka is better than him. Everything says that, in my opinion. My eye test says that. Goals say that. I believe a team is top of the league and a team is 11th. Yes, you can be great, but to be honest, Palmer is good. Me saying that Saka's good, and it rattles a lot of people when we say, I will take Maddison over Odegaard, or I will take Rice over Rodri. You think I'm slagging the other guy and I'm saying the other guy is bad. No, I'm just saying it might be a conversation, but I'm choosing Saka. But just to let you know, it's not even a conversation. It's not, in my opinion.
I'm going to keep it consistent when it comes to England. For years, I used to work when I was a kid, about 15, 16, I used to work in a builder's merchants, selling building materials and their little bathroom centre there. And I remember one Saturday I was in the bathroom centre doing probably just paper clipping stuff together, because that's all I really did as a kid. There's a man there called Jimmy Ing, and it was a really good football lesson for me. And everyone was talking about England. It was on the build up to a World Cup or a Euros, and he said, "We'll be let down again. We'll be let down again." And we were all like, "Nah, we'll be all right." You know, we're really enthusiastic kids. And he said, and we said, "Well, why, Jimmy? Why are you so negative?" And he said, "Because England isn't run like a club." And we all went, "Of course it isn't. It's an international team." And he looked at us all like we were stupid, and with hindsight, we were. He said, "No, it should be Club England. And yes, certain players on form should be given an opportunity, but you should be building a team and building relationships like a club does." So just because, and we've done this with certain players, just because Maguire's not in the best of form for Man United, he's playing well for England, he should play for England because he does well in that England team. It shouldn't be about the star names. It shouldn't be about who's flavour of the month. It shouldn't always be about who's in the best form in the Premier League. It should be about, part of it should be who's done well for England. And when I look at Bukayo Saka, I would say in the Premier League, he overall, I would still say he's better than Cole Palmer right now.
Yeah,
I would. But when it comes to England, let's remove everything about the Premier League. Saka has been England's best player for 2 years running. He barely puts a foot wrong. His performances have been exemplary. So I don't care how good Cole Palmer's done this year. That's Bukayo Saka's spot. Now, Cole Palmer, when he comes on the pitch, whether it's in the 10, the left, the right-hand side, whatever it is, start to produce and try to push him out, as you would if you signed for Arsenal and you were part of his club. This Club England approach needs to stay, where 70-80% of that squad is part of a squad that's picked regularly, that builds a relationship. There is always room for exceptional talent and exceptional form. So Cole Palmer being introduced, Kobbie Mainoo coming into the squad, but you need to have a core group that play together regularly, that are familiar with one another. If you literally pick the squad and change the starting 11 based on Premier League form, you would never create a cohesive team because they wouldn't know each other's game. And we need to get into that mindset as a nation. So just because Palmer's on fire, right, and Palmer's had an amazing season, I rate this guy so highly. I think Chelsea have bought an absolute star. I think it's actually a signing that is going to help Chelsea, stop Chelsea being even lower in the league, but it's a signing that is actually going to maybe cost City the Premier League title. If they had a Cole Palmer in some of these games where they need a goal, this man has got goals in him. Wow. And I genuinely think that they might end up regretting that, Man City, considering the likes of Nunes and Doku, etc., haven't hit the heights. They should have kept this young man. I think he's phenomenal. So I'm not playing him down in any way, shape, or form. But Saka is England's starter on the right. I would start Foden on the left-hand side of that attack right now, Kane in the middle, and then the midfield three is so simplistic, in my opinion, to pick. You go with Declan Rice. Next to him, I'm picking Mainu, and ahead of him, you've got to pick one of the best players in the world right now in Jude Bellingham. That, as a team, has great defensive strength, amazing passing ability, skill, speed, power, goals. That is formidable in every single way, shape, and form. And then you have the likes of Maddison. Then you have the likes of Cole Palmer. Rashford, by the way, his England record of recent years has also been pretty good. Forget what he's done for Man United this season. Those types of players with their qualities coming on from the bench gives you so much ammunition. That is what I would do. I want to see Mainu tested first in these friendlies. I want to see him given an opportunity to what he's like. But this kid's special because him and Rice together would be absolutely formidable. That is what I would go with. But when it comes,
he tried to put Mainu here in the starting 11 for England.
I would
now
I'd start him. I think he's good enough. I think
he's good, but I don't think he should start for England now. 18 years old. He played 12 games, looked all right, and I was praising him so much, but I don't think he should start at all.
I hear you.
Should be Bellingham, Maddison, and Declan Rice.
But where does hang on a minute? Okay, where does Maddison play?
Maddison, Bellingham, and Declan Rice.
Yeah, but where does Maddison play?
Both eights, like he plays.
2 8s. See, I just think Maddison's a 10, and I think when you put Maddison in an 8. I don't think he's strong enough in the central midfield areas for us. I think he's a brilliant 10. I think he's a good 8. And this is the thing. When I look at Kobe, I get Rooney vibes. Different position, but Rooney had only played a handful of games. Went into England, natural. I think you'll see if he plays in his next 2 games, I think people will see this kid's ready for England. I think he's ready for anything. I think he's that good at his age. And people say it's recency bias. You can call it recency bias. I understand that challenge.
But hold on, your logic doesn't make sense. You literally just said that Cole Palmer shouldn't get into the England squad because of the current form, but you want to put Mainu there because of the current form. So why?
I'll explain why. No, it's not a contradiction. I'm talking about Saka's form for England over Cole Palmer is why I go with Saka, no matter what's going on in the Premier League, in that right-hand side position. That is Saka's. If, for instance, Declan Rice had a player next to him who was in amazing form, then I would not be advocating for Mainu to go in there. But with Calvin Phillips not playing football, with Henderson, who's played in that position, being over the hill, I think it's up for grabs. I understand why people want James Maddison in it, but James Maddison isn't a stalwart, isn't a regular in a central midfield role for England. No one is. I think Mainu would be the best option out of everyone we've got in that position. For me, James Maddison. For me, James Maddison is an absolutely amazing 10. He is not a central midfielder. He doesn't play central midfield.
I would play Trent there over Mainu still because
that's
he's still
okay. Go on. Trent
I'll put Trent in the midfield next to Declan Rice. I'm not, and again, Terry, you are doing exactly what the fans are doing. You're thinking I'm snagging Mainu.
No, I'm not.
A brilliant kid, an amazing talent.
Hang on a minute, Mo. You've challenged me to say that it's the same as a Saka situation. It's not. There isn't an outstanding candidate who's played regularly for England for the last 2 years in that midfield role. Do we agree on that?
Yeah, but you made a general rule.
Hang on a minute. I didn't make a general rule. I have made a general rule, but the general rule's broken here. Is there a player who for the last 2 years has played next to Declan Rice that has performed to Saka's level?
No.
Well, therefore, the rule hasn't been broken, has it? Because that's there. On your Trent point, Trent in the midfield next to Declan Rice is a much better idea than James Maddison. James Maddison is not a central midfielder. He's a 10. Bellingham is our 10.
Is. By the way, now we're talking about tactical and the difference between me and you in looking at the Spurs games. I actually believe Maddison is not only a 10. I believe Maddison is all over the pitch. Maddison probably is very dangerous when he comes close to the 18 of the opposition. Maddison is someone, if you look at where he picks up the ball, Maddison goes and picks up the ball from the defenders. A lot of times, Maddison does that. Maddison has the capability. I'm a Maddison fan. Maddison isn't only a 10. The total football that they play at Spurs allow Maddison, because Declan Rice is there and because Bellingham, who isn't a 10, Bellingham is a number 8, allows Maddison to flourish in that system. And that's my opinion. tactical opinion is different. There are people, I have another opinion of playing Trent there and actually having John Stones and Kyle Walker in the back for defensive. So going all attack. That's another one, going all attack. And then have Kyle Walker.
So I want to show you something for a second. I want to show you something for a second.
Go ahead.
So I look, when it comes to, I go with my eye test a little bit, but then I always go and look at the facts.
Yes.
So this is James Maddison here. I'm going to put him up on the big screen so everyone can see. That's James Maddison's heat map this season. A lot on the left, a little bit on the right, a little bit behind in his own half, but very strong in that area.
Yes.
If we then take, okay, but then if we take Jude Bellingham, who also plays in that position, and we put Jude Bellingham into this, Jude Bellingham's looks very, very similar to Mason Mount's. They play attacking midfield, stroke 10s, in my opinion. You put someone like a Mainu into this. I'm going to load he's in now. Mainu plays a very, very different role, a lot deeper and far more spread out. So from my point of view, and I've watched, and I'm only going based on what I've seen them play this year predominantly, when I see those two operate, I don't, with the way we play, generally it's 2 sitting midfielders and a 10 for England. I don't want to see Mason Maddison playing in a deep role, which he hasn't done all year. It doesn't make sense to me.
Explain to you. No, I think you're missing the point tactically here, Terry. The difference is you're comparing both players in Bellingham and Maddison, who play in a team that play on the front foot. So that heat map that you see is actually a midfield for a team that the line is high. The line is high itself, but your line is much deeper. The stats show that. The positional players of the rest of the team shows that. So Maddison and Bellingham on that are playing a CM role higher. Like if you watch Rodri's heat map, he's a DM. It will be similar to Maddison or close to that or something like this. That is something that we have to accustom to. Spurs have average of 62% ball position. Man United are 50%. Your baseline as a team is
again. I disagree with you, and I've just gone and looked at Jude Bellingham. I've just gone and looked at Jude Bellingham in England for England.
I'm not looking at him in England. I'm looking at it because what you
hang on, wait. We've got to look. Hang on, we've got to look at Jude Bellingham, what he does for England, and when you look at his heat maps for England, and I'll put them up on the screen now for you to see. Okay. So the red isn't as deep because he plays less games, but the heat map for England in European qualifiers and the heat map for England in World Cup qualifiers looks very much the same. So the point I'm making is that deeper role that I want to see. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong button. The deeper role that I want to see either Trent or Mainu in, neither Jude Bellingham or James Maddison play in that role. I've never seen either of them excel in that role at the highest level. So from my point of view, I don't want square pegs in round holes. For me, Jude Bellingham starts in the front. Okay, I want Jude Bellingham to start in the front of the 2 players that are going to be behind him. I know idealistically we'd love to play with 1 sitting player and 2 attacking 8s.
Yes,
but that isn't how England typically play. We play with 2 midfielders that sit and 1 that goes forward. Now,
you aren't happy with Southgate.
I'm judging it. I'm not. Again, this is what I'm doing.
Let me just finish. Okay,
hold on. Finish. Go on.
You aren't happy. And the majority of England fans aren't happy with Southgate. We are here saying our opinions. Your opinion is to replace Calvin Phillips with Kobe Mainoo. So you want the same exact system played that nobody's happy with. While I'm sitting here looking from outside and I want a new system that will
I'm talking about this from a sense of reality. I'm picking a team based on how we actually play, not how I would play or how we would play if Pep was our manager. I'm talking about how we set up as England, how we play, and who's best for those positions. So I think we're probably talking about 2 different scenarios. So if you're going to put people in the roles based on how we play football, I don't want Maddison in a deeper midfield role. I don't want Bellingham in a deeper midfield role. It's not where they excel. I want them. And even when Maddison started for England recently, he started on the attacking left-hand side, not in central midfield. We can't put him in midfield. He don't play there. It's not his position. So for me, I want to see Mainu tested in these next couple of games to see what he looks like. If he looks awful, fish out of water, my mind will change because it's based on facts. But looking at him now, you know, I mean, Trent, Mainu in that role.
He's going to play in Brazil. He's going to play against Brazil on Saturday. You know that. He's going to get
Hopefully.
I want to see him against Brazil, even in a friendly game. I want to see him in this English national team. What is he going to do? Because he can be a weapon in the Euros, 100%. Listen, this generation.
This super chat's true. It doesn't really matter. We ain't winning, Jackal. It's probably true. I wanted to also ask you about news at Arsenal today and get your opinion on this. Obviously, they've done a new contract for Tomiyasu. This comes after the new contract for Ben White that's just come through. And Arsenal seem to have done it again where, unlike Arsenal teams in generations gone by, they're keeping hold of all their better players. And I know he's had some injury problems, but he was killing it before he went away. More good business from Arsenal, keeping this squad together, or
keeping the squad together? But I think Tomiyasu, listen, as good as people say Tomiyasu is, he played like 600 minutes last season. And this season, every time I'm looking, Tomiyasu's injured. So why you're keeping him? Why you're not looking elsewhere? I know Arsenal fans have this sentimental value. Oh my God, Tommy is great. Tommy is that. Tommy is this. You guys, I'm looking out for your club, right? This guy is injured. Always injured. Last season, he was injured. This season, he's injured. Why are you praising the club for signing a guy that might get injured again next season? You want to improve. Get a player that is more consistent, as good as he is. If he isn't available, I don't know what it's like. It's like Chelsea. Someone said in the chat, it's like Chelsea signing Reece James with a new contract that can't play football. You know what I mean? It's like Man United signed Martial. On ability, Martial is fantastic. Ballon d'Or contender, Martial. Tomiyasu, number one, he wasn't part of your team, that title challenging team. He played 600 minutes. You got 600 minutes. That's equal about 8 games in total. That's it. Out of 38 games. This season, he has been injured the majority of the time. People are sensitive. Right? Get somebody else that is more fit. If you call, okay, thank you, TABG, for this. If you are signing him for a contract to sell him, that's fine. But he is part of the squad. He gets a wage, right? Arsenal aren't a team like Man City or Man United. You need more players, right? Like, you need more players that can play. How many times Arsenal fans sat on platforms and complained about injuries? Oh, we have so much injuries. And then your club goes and signs someone who's injury prone. And then now you're like, yeah, good signing. We're extending his contract. Unless I'm hearing he's getting sold, I'm saying you're holding a spot. The last thing I'm going to say to you guys, think about it from this way. You're holding a spot in the squad for someone getting paid, but they aren't fit to play. But you complain all the time on social media that he's injured, but he's part of your squad.
I would say this about the Tomiyasu deal. I get your point completely. So last year, last year's injury is an interesting one because he was fit all season and it was just a bad twist, and his knee went. And I look at that, it's an injury, of course it is. But they happen. They're freak accidents. They happen. This year, he's had 2 calf injuries. He's actually had 4 or 5 in his career. Where I think you're right is they've got to look at this calf injury and go, how do we actually fix this long term? Because if it keeps going, it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. However, what I would say is this is true. Retaining a little bit of value in him, maybe looking to sell him on and improve. But I do think Tomiyasu is a really good signing for them. But they have to keep an eye out for this calf injury. He had one back in 2021. He had another one in 2022. Didn't miss too long with that. He's had 2 calf injuries now this season. So I do think that they've got to look at that very, very carefully, Arsenal, because you don't want that becoming a prolonged situation. We have some more super chats here. This one's from Tony. I love this super chat. He says, also, Southgate will play Mainu to get Browning points with Manchester United. This morning.
Yeah, he's flirting with
Terry. Can you imagine? Then I'd be gutted about it. But
because the news of the Daily Star came 2 days ago. Yesterday, he called out Mainu.
Yeah, it could be true. Oh, don't do it, please. Bellingham is naturally an 8, not a 10. I would have Rice at 6, Bellingham at 8, and Foden, Maddison at 10. I mean, yeah, you could do that. The problem that I have with that is, again, maybe it's just how I view football. I love a heat map. Not because I think what a heat map tells you, it tells you where a player touches the ball, where their first touch on the ball is. And it tells you the positions they take up. I'm not someone that focuses too much on what the formation looks like on a graphic of 4-4-2, 4-4-3. I look at, because people always say, Bruno and KDB and Odegaard play different positions. Only on Sky's graphic, you look at their heat maps, they're fucking identical to each other pretty much. So they play the same role. And when you look at Bellingham and when you look at Maddison, whether they play 10 or 8, I think the numbers are irrelevant. They've moved to the same areas.
Where are
And
you?
England had this problem for a generation with Gerrard and Lampard. Whenever they played together, they got in each other's way because when you look at their club heat maps, they were identical to each other. They picked up the same areas. So they both couldn't be in the same team at the same time. You need balance, and you get balance by variety as opposed. And I think Maddison and they look different on the eye, but their positional sense is the same. And there's only room for one player in one position at one time, isn't there?
I actually think this generation is a little bit more balanced than the generation of Fabio Capello in 2010 and Sven-Goran Eriksson. You had no DM. It was Paul Scholes, Lampard. There was Hargreaves at that time. He was a good player, but not top. Now this one you have Declan Rice, one of the best DMs now around. You have Foden, you have Maddison as a 10, you have Bellingham, one of the best number 8, you have Saka. It's so much talent in this England squad. The problem is the left back, and that's of course it's Man United and Chelsea's fault with keeping Chilwell and Luke Shaw. But you have the right backs, you have Trent, you have Kyle Walker, centre backs, you have John Stones, and even now Gay and Braithwaite and stuff. But I believe now you have a lot of talent. But if you don't win it, and I don't believe you're going to win it because it's going to be in Germany. Germans aren't going to allow England to win in Germany. You know that.
Oh,
you guys have to know that.
It'd be beautiful to win, and as an Englishman to win in Germany would be a thing of beauty. But listen,
it would be the best feeling for an English fan if you win on Germany.
In some respects, that would be better than winning at Wembley because it's in the old enemy's back garden. Of course, as a nation, we are over the historical situations, but sporting wise, beating the Germans is a thing of beauty. This here from Elisa says, relax, brother. They are protecting the value of the player. Arsenal are fixing the issue of being bad sellers.
Very good point, Elisa. Very good. If that's why, very, very good point. You're protecting the value. That's fine.
This here says a good point, but Tommy isn't 100% a first-team player, so I feel we are more calm with him compared to Jesus or Partey. That's why we are more calm. It's a fair point. It doesn't matter what all of you think, but we can all agree Grealish deserves to be on the bench. Yes, based on form.
I have an. I actually.
Sorry. No, I'm not laughing at this one. I'm laughing at another super chat I just read.
Okay. I actually believe. This is going to sound strange, right? Based on Grealish this season, I actually believe that Rashford, and if Sancho continues like this in the Bundesliga and in the Champions League, if you're going to pick 2 left wingers, are you picking out of 3? Who are you picking? Sancho, Rashford, Grealish?
Based on form,
you're in English, yes.
Yeah. Based on form, you would put Sancho in there. The problem that you've got is that Sancho's had issues with this England coaching team in terms of things they've said about him. So I don't think it matters how good Sancho is. I just don't think Southgate and co will pick him. So I get your point.
Really? But he had a history with Southgate. A good one.
But no, not really. It was when he was at his pomp at Dortmund.
Yes, he started him.
Yeah, he didn't start enough. We were looking at him like, why isn't he starting more? Because he's killing it. And there was problems there. So I would love it. I'd love him. Listen, I've said about Sancho the whole time. I want Sancho killing it in Germany. I would love him in the England team killing it because it means we either get him back brilliant or we sell him for more money. Like, I'm not someone who wants him to foul, but I don't see it happening personally. This here says, you just made that rule to fit the Mano. Yeah, I thought I defended Saka so that I could create a rule that helps Manu. No, that's not what I do.
Oh, yeah, he's learning from Assam. Assam makes a whole argument. We get on a show for 45 minutes and he build some rules and stuff. And yes, you agree. And
the
then
problem is with Hassam.
Gerrard did, and he says, now you see, Gerrard is the best player ever in the
I've
Premier League.
I've caught Hassam out so many times and he does that. And there's a video that I've made today that's coming out that where a Liverpool fan, I'm not going to even say what it is, I don't ruin it. I tweeted about it today, where a Liverpool fan has actually undone the whole legacy of his football club in an attempt to put Jurgen Klopp above Sir Alex because of a few things that he says and his logic. And I'm like, oh, this is what a lot of people do. I'm not trying to win any battles. I stand by what I've said there when it comes to England, and I'd give Manu a chance. As a German fan, if Southgate is an England manager, then I don't see England win anything, to be honest. Honestly speaking, maybe because I hate them or something. That could be true.
Ben, just worry about yourself. You got out of the group stage last time, so just worry about Germany first.
England had Carrick, would have solved 90% of the problems. Oh, he should have been the starting midfielder that we built around, but we were stupid. My ultimate dream, Arsenal win the double and getting Bellingham next. You're not getting Bellingham, brother. You're not getting Bellingham from Real Madrid. Sven Botman is expected to be out for up to 9 months.
What?
Ooh, wow.
When did that happen? Is that the...
I didn't even know he got injured. I didn't even know he got
Is
injured.
that with the Netherlands team? Again.
Botman. Let's have a little look.
Yeah, this is
Breaking
news. Yeah, defenders.
6 to 9 months he's out for.
ACL. I
ACL.
love the kid. He's young. He's so talented. That's a big blow for Newcastle, especially because they can't spend now.
Big blow.
Because they can't spend now. Newcastle are going to be 12th at the end of the season. Eddie Howe sacked. The owners are going to sell the club again. It's over for Newcastle fans.
Doesn't rain, it pours. People compare Saka to everyone and wonder why, as Gooners, we always pick Saka. We never hear Foden or Palmer conversations. They always compare to Saka.
That's what you think, my friend, Gunnar Carlos. That's what you think. Foden started talking, and Chelsea fans started to saying that Palmer would have started on the in Man City. So no, the conversation happened all the time. To be honest,
just seen Rory on his The Club show say Bayern Munich and Kane will beat Arsenal home and away with ease. Is he smoking? What's your thoughts, Terry? I'll throw that to you first. Do you think Bayern Munich will beat Arsenal with ease home and away? What's your take on that?
This Arsenal team is different. I will tip the scale in favor of Bayern a little bit, and I explained why. Just because the second leg is at Munich, but I believe this is going to be a tie with 1 goal in it. Just both legs, by the way, 1 goal in it. Bayern Munich are no mugs in the Champions League. I know that Man United fans said, yeah, we played them. We looked better in the knockout stages. Thomas Tuchel is experienced. Bayern Munich are mugs. They have Champions League winners in Neuer, Kimmich, Goretzka, Muller, and they have experience in there. Serge Gnabry as well, who's, I believe, injured. I believe the scale is tipped a little bit in Bayern Munich favor, but I believe Arsenal can win it. If I'm a betting man, and I'm not a betting man, I would bet on Bayern Munich going through, to be honest. If Arsenal go through, I wouldn't be that much surprised, but I'll bet on Bayern to go through. But for the fact that people that say 8-2 and all this stuff, that's bullshit. That's not happening, to be honest. Manuel Neuer just got injured 40 minutes ago.
Jeez, he's out as well. Yeah, look, I mean, Kane's got an injury. I don't know how bad that one is. Look, I see Bayern as the favourites. I do, because of the quality of their squad, their European know-how. The equalizer in this is that there's 2 equalizers that bring it very close. One's at Arsenal, very good. The other one that brings it very close is Thomas Tuchel. As much as he's won this tournament, I don't like how they play football. So Arsenal have a try. I don't see them getting...
It's the other way around, though.
What do you mean?
Thomas Tuchel is a very good coach in reading 1 game off in the Champions League.
I know that.
It's not only in Champions League, in Cup.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I do get that, but I just don't think they're as good under him as they were prior to him.
I
so
like
I
him as well.
Yeah.
But he's a very good
maybe. I the Bayern Munich are the favourites, but saying they'll beat them home and away with ease, again, with ease, suggests it's going to be 3-4-5 aggregate goal margin. I don't personally see that being the case at all.
And I had Rory yesterday on my channel, and he didn't say that.
No, he said Rory Jennings. He means
Rory Jennings.
Rory Jennings.
Okay, Rory Jennings.
Not Rory Talks Football. Kane and Neuer now out injured. Is Kane? So Kane is out then?
No, they said no.
I was about to say, I swear he's with the England squad, but maybe I misread that. But there we go. Look, I want to thank everybody that's tuned in. So I know he started with Lawless, but he's actually on holiday and he still came on for an hour or so before going out for dinner with his I assume with his partner, but I don't know. I didn't ask. I should have done. Mo, always a pleasure, mate, to speak football with you. Viewers, I know it's the international break, but always blown away by the numbers, the likes, and everything else that you give us. Please go and check out my new channel, The Squad Now. I know about 26,000 people have gone to the page, but not enough of you have subscribed yet. So go and get subscribed, because I'm in a meeting next week to finalize when all the shows on that start. It's going to be amazing. So scan the QR code now or click on the link in our live comment section below. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon.